Good afternoon, people. This is day four of me talking about trauma bonding. And the last place that I left off on was college being a very traumatic experience. I basically went over the fact that, I really didn't understand it at the time, that there was an unequal class distribution at Morehouse when I was a student. And when I say unequal class distribution, for those who don't know, Morehouse is historically black, all male, just as we have a sister school next door, Spelman, which is also historically black, all female. And one of the things that we don't talk about, which is hidden, is there's a class structure within those schools. It's almost invisible if you're not paying attention. And I really was not paying attention to the class distinction. I had a lot of friends who lived in very, upper, high, upper middle class, neighborhoods, and I had professors who would invite me to their houses during Thanksgiving and Christmas. Well, Thanksgiving really, because Christmas I would come back to Houston, but yeah, I was invited a lot of places, and there were a lot of people who liked me within those communities, even though I did not share the same class distinction that they did. Being well spoken and being educated did not denote the fact that I was a young black man who grew up in the third ward of Houston, Texas, um, went through multiple levels of poverty, a grandmother who was financially illiterate, and that played a lot of, I played a lot into my childhood. But I'm gonna dive in there a little bit deeper with this. And usually, from a black to white standpoint, black people, we generally get on white people for economic reasons, right? Most of the gripe that we have as a collective goes towards white people because of the economic injustice that most black people have. And I want to take that and I want to reverse it and talk about upper class black people and lower class black people. There's a book called The Black Bourgeoisie, and this is from E. Franklin Frazier. And he basically talks about, the black class structures of the time, the keeping up with the Joneses mentality. And I want to take that point of reference and talk about some of the people I went to school with who I used to be friends with. And I realized later on that, this was very toxic trauma bonding that I did not understand at the time. Let's flush out Morehouse a little bit more for me. So, academically, I did not have a problem at Morehouse. Financially, that was my problem throughout the entire time that I was a student until graduation. In fact, I had to get my grandma, the one who made me go to Morehouse hard, I had to get her to spot me $120 to pay for my graduation fees. It was real. So, one of the friends that I made at Spelman, I'll never forget that she came off as cool. She was from Houston. There are a lot of people that went to the AUC that came from Texas. So, it's like a huge Texas mob that we have down there. And we met during what did we meet? This was called the Olive Branch. That's when they bring Morehouse, Spelman, and Clark Atlanta together, and you get your official Morehouse brother or Spelman sister. You get all those things like that. It's really it's something to have. But after a couple of weeks of me knowing this particular person from Houston, I realized how jaded this person was. I'm not going to say any names because I think that that's rude. I think it's crass. But I will never forget that this person would always try to seek to belittle me. And I could never understand why this person would do this. And one of the ways that she did it was I was a music major. I love music. I went to Morehouse originally as a music major. The only reason that I got out of that major was because I'm not spending 5 years at Morehouse. Morehouse at that time was 32,000 a year, which meant that you were paying roughly maybe 15,000 a semester that I didn't have, and my credit was not good even before I was of age to have credit, and nobody was helping me pay for college. So that wasn't happening. I had to switch my minor over to my major, and basically I had some good years of music at Morehouse, but that's going to lead into this story. Um, she knew that I was talented vocally. And not just from a gospel singing standpoint, but from a music theater standpoint, and also into opera and into classical music. I'm very much so a person who loves music. And she would always say side remarks, and she would always do things to make herself feel bigger than me, right? And this is but one person, but this person is the one that's on my mind at this point. You know what I'm saying? There was some other people within the experience who did similar things. And in fact, just to balance it out gender wise, I'll talk about him too. She would argue me on things that I'm studying, right? You're majoring in biology. I'm majoring in music. I'm the one reading this book. In fact, I'll never forget at one of the most stressful points of me being at Morehouse, I missed homecoming my sophomore year because I was studying. I was studying. I was like, y'all can step, y'all can drink, you can do whatever you got to do. I don't care because I'm not failing this man's class. Ended up failing the man's class with a D minus. And that's when, the shit just hit the fan with me. I was like, no, mm-mm. But with this person, she argued me about something I was reading in a book. Now let me tell you something. You gotta be pretty good goddamn stupid to leave Spelman, which is across the way, walk from Spelman over to Morehouse into the music building, go up some stairs at the top of the building, right? To talk to somebody about something that you didn't even know your damn self, but you wanted to prove a point and try to make me wrong. This is the kind of toxic environment I was in. Like, God, like, woman, like, do you see me trying to go argue photosynthesis with your professors? Like, I don't understand. Shut up. Get away from me. Get away from me. But that's what she did. And I did not talk to this woman for about 2 years. 2.5 years, I did not talk to her. And what she ended up doing was she ended up coming back around towards me. She never apologized. She just trying to kind of swept it up under the rug and tried to keep pushing. But even within that same relationship, there was still this toxicity within her that had to feel like she had to one-up me. Now, here's the crazy part. I finished Morehouse. I struggled to get through Morehouse. She had all the resources. Her mother was paying for Spelman. Turns out you went to 2 colleges after Spelman that, they're not even noteworthy schools. You didn't have to fight to get into those schools. That you paid for your degree, basically, right? You getting on me while I'm sitting over here building myself, right? I didn't try to tear you down, not once. But you found it obligatory to do it to me. That's one person. I had to cut this person out of my life, but now we're going to go on to the male example. There was a dude in my department. He had the departmental scholarship. So at every department at Morehouse, based on, the giving that the school has, every department within each school has what they call the departmental scholar. So this is somebody that, the department got together. They said, this is the most talented of this class, or this is the person who is most deserving of this money. And we're going to give this person the money to get through the rest of their years. They don't have to worry about it. All they have to do is keep up a certain GPA, and we got you, right? Simple. This person was jealous of me going through Morehouse. In fact, he just wasn't jealous of me. He was jealous of other people within the exact same department. So he didn't have brotherhood, in my opinion, that spoke to you being brotherly. He had a very jealous demeanor. He knew that I didn't play, but he also knew that I was extremely talented. And eventually what happened was he would kind of get into competition with me. And I'm not a competitive person. I believe that whatever you bring to the table, you bring to the table, and you better your best when you have to better it. If you see a better way of doing something. This person was not that kind of person. Like, I remember, not out of feeling defeatist or anything like that, but I remember giving him tickets. I think it was a Gershwin production of Porgy and Bess that came through Atlanta. And I was given tickets to go. Now, because I was such a nerd, I was like, I can't go to that tonight. I got stuff to read. I got clothes to wash and I got stuff to read, so I'm not going. So give him the tickets. Gave them to him. He was okay with it. But I think what he started to realize was, even though I gave him the tickets, He saw that from a personal standpoint, my departmental chair and my mentor, they were, giving me compliments, and they would be complimenting me in front of everybody else. And one thing I didn't realize was they weren't doing it to my face. They were doing these compliments to other people. You know what I'm saying? And I guess it's like, let's not get the child head big or nothing like that. But yeah, he got his thing. He's good at what he do. And I got one of the biggest compliments from my mentor at the end of my freshman year, because I was in there like trying to get, right tetratura, phonation, sinus cavity, well, nasal cavity, sinus cavity, phonation when you sing. I was trying to get all this stuff down. This person was extremely jealous of me. This person would do things on purpose just to make himself look better in front of other people. Like we would be in Glee Club rehearsal, because I was in the Glee Club, and we would be, just in the middle of music, and he just had to be heard. He had to come off as intelligent. Whereas I'm the kind of person that I don't need to come off as intelligent to you, because intelligence speaks for itself. That's just the way I feel about it. And he just was always in competition with me. So we have a female example and a male example of somebody who is attacking somebody who is not attacking them. And what I had to realize was both of these people were fiscally sound going to school, right? But it didn't matter that you were fiscally sound. Because at the end of the day, I was competition to you. I was somebody that at the end of the day, it gave you a run for your money. You thought that you were comfortable where you sat, and you were not comfortable with me. And you felt the need to do whatever you had to do to make yourself feel great. See, good people are going to build you up. They're going to feed into you so that you are better for yourself, so that you could be better for other people. I'm a firm believer in that. But that's not what I was surrounded by. And this is in a college where we're supposed to be black people who have suffered a lot of slings and arrows, not just from the major society, not just from a global society, but also within our own community outside of the college educated community. That kind of stops you from moving forward in a positive way, especially when you're fighting each other. And let me tell you something. Let's not make the mistake of saying this is black on black. This is trauma on trauma. And guess what? Every other group got trauma on trauma. That is not just black people. So I want to make that clear, because with that statement, some people don't add the caveat, and I wanted to add the caveat to that. But I digress. That is what happens when you're going to school and you're trying to do better for yourself. There's always someone else who feels that, I must be competition to another person. I must make another person, whoever shines brighter than me, feel horrible so that I can shine. And that there were more examples of that in college. I mean, if I were to do and go through all the examples that are now flooding my head right now, they would be crazy. And it does not stop there, because tomorrow I will talk about USC. USC was a very traumatic experience as well. And there were elements of the same thing at Morehouse, but then we're also adding other racial components to that. And I will talk about that tomorrow. So with that being said, that's my little 13 minutes that I gave y'all. I'm going to get off of here before it hits 14. Have a blessed day. Remember, think about yourself and think about the people you come in contact with. If you feel some sort of need to let your trauma speak for you before you speak for you, try to temper it. Peace now.